I am Dr. Yolanda Ogletree. Thank you for joining the meeting this afternoon in an effort to introduce and disclose your unique platform to voters. This forum is hosted by the South Metro Democratic Women's Council and was established in 2014 as a local chapter of the Georgia Federation of Democratic Women, which is a sister chapter to the Georgia Democratic Party. Our mission is to engage women of South Metro Atlanta in a wide variety of political activities to provide members with substantive information regarding local issues, to organize educational and voter registration activities in the community, and to identify and encourage women of appropriate age to run for office at all levels. Our distinguished membership includes community activists, city council women, professors, engineers, mayors, presidents of homeowners association, presidents of Greek sororities, and chairs of state organization of the Democratic Party. The South Metro Democratic Women, sometimes referred to as the Ladies in Blue, our geographical area covers all of South Fulton, from I-20, south to Clayton and Fayette County lines, and all cities in between. Recently, our bylaws have changed, allowing men in the organization in a non-voting capacity. Finally, our organization is best known for hosting candidates forums, voter registration drives, Women's History Month activities, and interviews with various candidates, which can be viewed on Facebook and YouTube. Again, welcome to our candidates and committee members. Candidates competing for the Georgia State Senate District 39 seat. The rules of engagement are as follows, with slight changes. The moderator will address candidates in random order. Each contender will have 2 minutes for introduction and to reveal your campaign platform. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions. Please note, if a contender name is called by another candidate, that contender shall have the right to a rebuttal. Time allotted for rebuttals shall be 30 seconds. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Lastly, Ms. Phyllis Hendricks will serve as timer and will notify the moderator at the use of a bell when the time expired. Unfortunately, if you continue speaking after you have run out of time, your line will be muted. Thank you, candidates, and good luck. Next, Ms. Patricia Lovett will announce our moderator for this forum.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patricia Lovett of East Point, Georgia. To our president, Ms. Gloria Jenkins, our candidates, the South Metro Democratic Women's members, and to you, our viewing audience and voters. The moderator for this evening's forum for Senate District 39 has dedicated herself to community activism for many years, just to name a few. Past president of both the Georgia Federation of Democratic Women, as well as the South Metro Democratic Women's Council. She is a grandmother, she's an awesome mother, a member of Cascade United Methodist Church, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Kathy is the recipient of many awards and accolades for her outstanding community service. Without further delay, I present to you our moderator for today, Ms. Kathy Adams.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And Patricia, thank you very much for your kind words. I'd like to say thank you, the ladies in blue, the ladies of Georgia, the South Metro Democratic Women's Council, done an awesome job. And today we're here to hear from some of the candidates that are vying for the Senate seat of the 39th district. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the candidates, and we will going to take them in alphabetical order by last name. So Zan Ford, if you will, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zan Ford, running for State Senate District 39. Many of you may know my father, former State Senator Vincent Ford, and I am seeking to continue the legacy of fierce advocacy and fair representation for the people of the district that he had before me. A couple of things that I believe in, or what I want to work for once elected. First things first, $15 minimum wage. There's no reason that a full-time worker in the state of Georgia should have to struggle to provide for their families. We need to pay people what they're worth, and I plan to start that process by advocating for the $15 minimum wage on the state level. I also am interested in police reforms, particularly finding some way to track police interactions with the community so that when a police officer violates the public trust, they are not able to continue the same sort of activity there. Getting rid of the bad apples instead of moving them to the back of the shelf, as it were. Also in favor of a comprehensive civil rights law, a law that is inclusive and protective of all people, not only Black and brown, women, and so on and so forth, but also people in the LGBTQ groups. It is very important that everybody have equal protection under law in housing and employment. And last but not least, I want to expand Medicaid in the state of Georgia. We have 300,000 people who are without health insurance right now simply because Republican leadership has refused to accept money given to them by Obama during his last term with the ACA. It's unconscionable. It's bad enough before, but now in the midst of the worst pandemic that this country has seen in the last 100 years, is downright immoral and petty, to say the least. So I want to expand Medicaid and make sure that 300,000 Georgians have the benefit of health insurance in this trying time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Next, we have the candidate, Sonia Halpern. Sonia.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for having us here at this forum today. My name is Sonia Halpern, and I have a long record of leadership that intersects business, politics, and community service. And I want to bring to the Capitol skills that I have earned over the last 20 years in those areas, which includes creative problem solving, being able to bridge across differences to create coalitions, being able to be a strategic thinker that's also able to see the tactical steps that need to happen to execute properly, and just generally to be able to do good. I have had a lot of work that kind of my passion points have been the arts, education, and politics. And the one thing that ties all of those kind of what seems to be very different things together is the theme of equity, access, and opportunity. And that is what really is my simple platform: equity, access, and opportunity for all. And I believe that we can't have that unless we have things like access to healthcare, good public education, expansion, voting rights. We've got to tackle things like criminal justice reform and affordable housing. But those are the baseline things that in my platform, again, of just equity, access, and opportunity that I would like to really focus on at the Capitol.
Thank you so much, Ms. Halpern. So next we have Joanna Potts on board. Joanna. Your line is muted. Unmute yourself. There you go.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. So much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being at this forum. I'd like to briefly introduce myself to you. My name is Joanna Potts. I am a candidate for Georgia Senate, District 39. I am a lifelong native Atlantan. I go back 4 generations. I've been living in Atlanta and District 39 my entire life. I grew up doing business in District 39. My grandmother opened the Cascade Quick Stop back in the 70s at the corner of Cascade and Harlan, where I started ringing up the cash register when I was age 5. So I think that's where I started some of my business leadership, if you would say. After that, I started to work with my father and my brother, who are a landscaper and landscape architect throughout District 39. in Atlanta, East Point, College Park, and Union City. My platform is knowing this district, having the time to do this job, and being able to connect to these citizens. I am a South Side girl. One of the things that I think that is very important and timely in this race and in this next General Assembly session is the reapportionment and redrawing of the District 39 lines. We've got some Buckhead, and the majority of our district is Southwest Atlanta, East Point, College Park, and Union City. I think it's time for a compromise. District 39 is the most gerrymandered of all 56 Senate districts. And in this next general session, I would like to work with the Democratic senators to our right, to our left, to our east, to our west, to bring back some of our commerce and historic landmarks back to the district. With regard to healthcare and education, age-old problems, age-old topics, I think it's time for some common sense and timely solution. I'm running because I want to see transparency in COVID reporting, diagnosis, and upcoming vaccines in the state. And with regard to education, we need some common sense solutions so that we can get our children and teachers together in safe spaces.
Thank you, Ms. Potts. Next, we have our candidate, Linda Pritchett. Linda.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you again, Kathy. My name is Linda Pritchett, and I'm running for state senator. I am a wife, a mother, and a resident of the city of South Fulton. And the reason that I chose to run is because we need effective leadership with actual relevant experience in government, who will introduce meaningful legislation to deal with the issues that we face today. The laws in the state of Georgia do not adequately deal or address with the issues that we have, and they don't protect people from losing their jobs, losing their benefits, or even losing their homes. In Georgia, people are not compensated when they're taken advantage of. I've seen firsthand and experienced how people do not receive a fair chance in our courts. And they go up against corporations with high-powered attorneys, and they do not get a fair share or fair shake in court. Our district needs a fighter, someone who is ready to put an end to the broken criminal justice system and address our unfair laws. I believe that every child deserves a quality, fully funded public school education, no matter where they live. I believe our children need opportunities. I believe that we all deserve the opportunity to be able to support our families with livable wages, not just minimum wage. I do believe that we should increase our wage at least to $15 an hour, but inflation has surpassed that. My political career began by being mentored by State Senator Donzella James, and then went on to work with State Representative Sandra Scott and many others like State Representative Ronnie Mabur, who's my former opponent, and even in the city government with my former opponent, Mark Baker. I believe it's important that we have people that can work well, that we have someone, a state senator that can work well with others and that also connects with the people. The people are the most important persons in this whole conversation. And as state senator, I will continue to work in the communities, fight for our voter rights, make sure that people's voices are heard and advocate for it.
All right. Candidates, thank you very much for sharing your platforms with our guests this evening. Now I'd like to go into the question and answer session. Again, all responses will be 2-minute responses, and they will be random questions. You may not receive the same question, but you would receive the same number of questions. We'll also take some questions from the chat box from our viewers that are online, so I will ask those questions as well. However, if there are a number of questions that are about the same subject, they will be vetted so that we don't spend a lot of time on the same subject over and over again. And so make it fair so that you can share your views and vision on how you plan to lead in the 39th district. So, and then also if indeed your name is called, you do have a 30-second time limit on a rebuttal. So let's go ahead and get started. So first question. If elected, what legislation would you introduce that would affect the entire district the same? So I'm going to present that question to Zan Ford. Your line is muted.
Thank you. So first and foremost, one piece of legislation that I think will affect everybody throughout the district is the comprehensive civil rights law. And specifically, it would be designed to protect people from labor discrimination as well as housing discrimination. You know, in this district in particular, we have so much gentrification and so much housing injustice is going on. Being able to protect these particular groups from having to experience that will be a big boon to the state as well as the district specifically. Beyond that, I also want to introduce legislation that will hold police accountable, specifically, as I mentioned before, to track negative policing actions so that, again, police that violate the public trust will not be able to move to a different jurisdiction and continue to practice their chosen profession. I'm an insurance agent by trade and licensed and certified by the state. And if I do anything to violate my ethics, I lose my license and I no longer can practice as an insurance professional. And it's the same way with many other vocations. Why shouldn't it be the same way with the police officers that are supposed to serve and protect our neighborhoods? What we really have to do is get rid of those bad apples instead of moving them to the back of the shelf and go from there. And those are probably the two biggest pieces of legislation that I would like to introduce to affect this district in a positive fashion.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. The next question.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than fighting to expand Medicaid, protecting Social Security, and affordable health care, what other legislation would you introduce or propose that would benefit seniors? Sonia.
Yes, this is a great question because those things you just named would in fact help everybody, but are not specific to seniors. I have a couple of ideas that are specific to seniors, like if you know about the Atlanta Regional Commission, they have just recently set an advisory committee and they call it the Committee on Aging. I would actually like to create an additional advisory committee similar specifically for Senate District 39 and identify seniors who can be on that committee who would in fact help me define legislative policy that's specific to seniors. I also believe that there are, I think you said lower prescription drug costs, which would affect everybody, but also, we can have upgraded screenings and protocols around caregivers for seniors. We hear a lot about elder abuse. It is real. And so making sure that we screen more properly our caregivers and make sure that their records are the kinds of folks that we would want caring for our elders is also something that's very important. And then I would say also that, creating opportunities for seniors who either want to continue to work or want to re-enter the workforce. People are living to be older and older, and costs of living are going up and up. And so destigmatizing some of the kind of thoughts around seniors who are continuing to work. So those are a few specific things that I would like to do specifically with seniors in the district.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. Next question. Would you be willing to introduce or support legislation that states when a felon is about to be released, that they will automatically be given all rights required, their paperwork, that will help them merge back into society? And Joanne, I'm going to ask if you would answer that question, please.
Yes, that's an easy answer for me because I would absolutely be willing to support that legislation. There's some legislation on the table right now that I do believe that will be getting introduced at the first of this year that's already been passed that's along that lines. But I certainly believe that once anybody has paid their fair debt to society, they should fully re-enter, and that everybody around, particularly lawmakers and the community, should help them transition back in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What legislation will you introduce to protect people from predatory lending or gentrification in our communities? Linda.
I would introduce legislation. First of all, Georgia is a non-judicial state, so people actually do not have the ability to go to court to defend themselves when a lender, a predatory lender, particularly states that you didn't pay or there's a dispute about the amounts that you paid. So I think that these issues should be heard in business court. I also think that corporations should not be able to foreclose on people, particularly that have federal stays, people that have federal protections, that these issues need to be dealt with quicker than dragging out expensive legislation. And I also believe that we have to spend more money into, I guess, making resources available for homeowners, because when they go to court against these predatory lenders, they have high-powered attorneys, and people's rights are just, you know, obliterated. A lot of people cannot afford the type of attorneys that we need. And also, I feel that we need to have some education for attorneys, because this is a very specialized field. So I really think that we have to spend time making sure that people's rights are protected. And we're going to see an uptick in those issues coming up in 2021 after the COVID restrictions are lifted.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Next question. Are you in favor of local schools versus charter schools, and why? Ms. Halpern.
I'm in favor of local schools. So I believe deeply, so I'm a product of public education myself, all the way through K through 12, college, and graduate school. I believe that our public schools should be able to train up the 21st century workforce. So I believe very much in investing in our local schools. What I do, and charter schools in a way have become kind of synonymous with independent schools. So I think public dollars should be spent in our public schools, and make sure that every school is able to train the children that they have. And we know even in this district, because it is a very diverse district, there are schools that are not performing, that are performing even worse than Georgia overall total. But Georgia does a terrible job in terms of education all the way around. If you've got 2/3 of our third graders can't even read at third grade level. So we've got to be able to invest in our public schools, our local schools, and make sure that they have the funds and the resources that they need so that our students can do well and thrive, because that third grade measure in many ways, it is the measure that determines kind of a person's success pathway for the rest of their life at age 8. So I believe in public schools with public funds, and I don't believe that public funds should be put into charter schools that, are mixed with private funds.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question. How can you be trusted to handle the budget or the budget of the district when there are concerns about integrity? And that question has actually come from the chat box, and it is actually for Ms. Potts.
Would you repeat the question, please?
It says, how can you be trusted to handle the budget or the funds of the district?
How can I be trusted to handle the budget or the funds of the district?
Correct.
Certainly. The budget and the funds of the district are not held in the hands of any particular individual. They're held up for discussion and they're voted upon. I do not have any issues with personal integrity. I have fiduciary responsibilities. I have always held fiduciary jobs and responsibilities. I can completely be trusted to handle the budget of the state. And to the concern of anybody actually holding any pennies or dimes of the state, it's not held by any personal office holder.
Thank you very much. Next question. What is your position on the takeover, the state's takeover of Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport? Mr. Ford.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. I am completely against the state takeover for the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, completely against it. I think it is incumbent upon the leadership of the city of Atlanta to clean up some of the practices that they have currently going on with the assignment of contracts, so on and so forth. That is specifically giving life to the mostly conservative efforts to take over the airport. State level conservatives, Republicans, they essentially look at the mismanagement that's going on down there and say, hey, they can't do it. We need to come in and do it better. So the first step to preventing that is cleaning up the assignment process for contracts at the airport. Very, very, very important if Atlanta intends to retain control over that.
Thank you. Next question. This is a very historic district, steeped with activism from Julian Bond to Vincent Ford and even to Kimmy Williams. How would you uphold the fighting spirit of the district? Linda.
I think that most people know that I'm a fighter. Most people know me as someone that's always very involved in the district. I've actually attended city council meetings up to 1 o'clock in the morning, and I always speak at public comment. I'm the actual and only candidate in this race that filed a lawsuit against Fulton County Election Board because I felt that people were disenfranchised. I felt that the election was a disaster in June, and I did not think it was right that people stood in line for 3 and 4 hours and did not have the ability to vote. So I've always remained vocal, I've always remained visible, and I always will be accessible. And I will always fight for what's right and what people deserve.
Thank you. Next question. We have a chat box question that says, what is your plan to represent all of District 39, not just the South Side? Joanna.
My plan to represent all of District 39 is what I am calling basically the North Side Compromise. I feel like if you take a look at District 39, the best way to serve the residents of the North is in this next General Assembly session when the lines are redrawn. The North Side seems to have the issues of homelessness in a different way than we have it. They have issues of drag racing. We have issues on the South Side of individuals that can't afford transportation. So I feel like the fairest way to serve the North Side and the South Side is to work with our Senate partner to the east, Ms. Nan Orrick, and negotiate openly in a town hall setting with the North and the South and all the residents of District 39 and the district to be affected, and get Buckhead up into the district where they have more common interests. So we're not competing, and we can have some of our commerce and historic landmarks back to make the South stronger. I think that's how I serve both sides of the district.
Thank you. Next question. Will you continue the legislation proposed by Senator Williams and other Georgia senators regarding the donut hole for seniors? Ms. Halpern.
I'm not familiar actually with the donut hole for seniors. So I don't want to say the wrong answer, and yet I want to answer. So what I would tell you is this. I'm not going to know everything about everything. What I can tell you about how I operate as a leader is that I am curious, I ask questions, and I believe very much in understanding the nuance of any situation. And so I want to be a legislator who understands all pieces of an issue before I go and vote on it. And I would be a legislator who's also very open to listening and understanding the concerns of different constituency groups so that I can understand the best way to answer questions like that one.
Thank you. If elected, what legislation would you introduce that would affect the entire district in the same way? And that question would be for Linda Pritchett.
Well, legislation affects all districts the same way, to be honest. It's just the people that would benefit the most. We have an issue with community redevelopment and community investment. Across the street from the district is the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's like a $3.2 billion structure. They don't even pay taxes. And across the street is Vine City. And that's an area that has not been invested in a long time. We have a lot of homeless people there. They actually have raw sewage that comes up in days like this when there's a lot of rain. And so there are a lot of areas in our communities that are neglected, that have a lot of blight. from a lot of the foreclosure, from a lot of the investors that come in and just take homes and rent them and don't really do a good job at cleaning up. So I would like to make sure that we hold Fortune 500 companies in the state of Georgia and large corporations accountable for community and reinvestment, because of the fact that a lot of them have tax incentives and don't pay taxes at all. I think that our communities suffer while they're making profits hand over fist, and people do not even get minority contracts. People do not even get jobs. So the legislation that I would be interested in introducing would be to make sure that there is equity as far as for the people are being concerned, and making sure that we hold Fortune 500 companies and corporations more accountable where they pay their fair share into our communities.
Thank you very much. Other than fighting to expand Medicaid, protecting Social Security and affordable health care, what other legislation would you propose that would benefit seniors? Ms. Potts.
Well, I was teed up for something that would benefit the whole district. With regard to benefiting seniors, I think the best thing that I could do to propose legislation that could perhaps be easily passed to help seniors is to put a cap on senior homestead taxes and property taxes. Once a house is paid off, it's no way in the world that any law should not protect that house to be saved. Seniors losing paid for houses is one of my major concerns with seniors. And I would like to see a law passed so that the taxes never become unaffordable on a senior who's paid off a house.
Thank you very much. Are you in favor of local schools versus charter schools? Mr. Ford.
I am a strong supporter of public schools. I'm not in favor of charter schools at all. And as a result of that commitment, the endorsement of the Georgia Federation of Teachers, they share my belief that public money should be used for public schools. And in the event that public money is given to charter school, private institutions, so on and so forth, those institutions need to be held to the same standard that we're holding our public schools to. Public school is the foundation of our country, and it's downright criminal, in my opinion, that for year after year after year, public funding for our school systems has been cut. I also believe that the formula used to determine school funding on the state level needs to be adjusted and brought back or brought into a more fair situation. Because right now, the schools that need the funds the most oftentimes don't get them. And we need to make sure that, on the state level, we're willing to fight to ensure those sort of changes happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is a very historic district steeped with activism from Julian Bond to Vincent Ford to Nikema Williams. How would you uphold that fighting spirit in the district? Ms. Halpern.
So I will tell you this. I think that fighting can look like lots of different ways. And I think at the end of the day, what you would find in me is somebody who would fight for the things that we need, but would do it in a way that I can get things done. Not to say that the others didn't, because they certainly did, but my personal leadership style is really to be able to kind of see around corners. I've got the good sense to compromise when it's necessary, and then I've got the principles not to yield when values need to be held. And so part of being able to get stuff done is not just to be able to talk about it. We're all Democrats on this forum. We all hold many of the same values. It's a matter of going down to the Gold Dome and being able to work across the aisle to actually be able to pass legislation that would then be able to have the positive impact on all of the constituents of the district, and then the greater Georgia too. So for me, I think very much that fighting can often look like sitting down across the table with somebody and having conversation, finding common ground and being able to put one step forward toward the thing that you want. Sometimes we're not gonna get every single thing that we want, but this all or nothing kind of world that we can sometimes be living in right now, for us as Democrats who are in the minority, it often yields us to the nothing. I believe in fighting towards something and getting those somethings done. And for me, that is working with colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, to be able to achieve the things we ultimately want to see happen.
Thank you very much. The next question. What is in your plan to represent all of the district, all of District 39, not just the South Side? Ms. Potts.
I think you just asked me that question.
Yes, I did.
My North plan.
I'm gonna pose that question to Mr. Ford. Thank you. I'm sorry.
I'd be glad to.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll come back.
That's fine. Can you repeat the question as well?
Absolutely. What is in your plan to represent all of District 39, not just the South Side?
Understood. As far as the District 39 and, you know, the socioeconomic differences, that are, you know, well documented between the North Side and the South Side, I feel like the best way to serve the entire district is make sure that we fight for equity across the district, across everything from housing, as well as policing, and so on and so forth. The reason I say that is because the district there are a lot of differences between the two sides, right? We know that it's been like that for a while. It is still possible to make sure that our residents on the North Side are able to live the lives that they want, while at the same time securing that same accommodation for the people who live off of Campbellton Road, or so on and so forth, in East Point, so on and so forth. The biggest way to do that is just go about the job with fidelity. Make sure that you're available and present for meetings and events and so on and so forth on the North Side as well as the South Side. Now, I understand, and I believe we all understand, that the South Side of the district needs a little bit more help than the North Side, but that does not at all diminish the needs of our northern residents. But I think the best way to address that is to move forward with fidelity and make sure that we are present and accountable to all members of the district or residents of the district, not just the South Side or the North Side, whichever it may be.
Thank you very much. What is your position on the state takeover of the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport? Ms. Pritchett.
I am against it because I think that our state overreaches, and when the state puts itself in a posture to try to overtake, like a business authority like that, they only do so to be able to ingratiate their friends and their supporters. A few years ago, the state legislature actually 10 years ago, they waived the jet fuel tax. They didn't think that Delta and some of the other airlines that are hubbed in Atlanta should have to pay over, I think it's about $20 million a year. And a lot of those revenues go to Clayton County, where the airport is situated. So basically just depriving taxpayers from the ability of having revenues and just controlling an entity that they should not have control of, I am totally against it. And I also believe that, like Mr. Fort said, when you have people or business owners that are getting the majority of the contracts, or things are not fair for everyone to participate in the minority contracts and participate in the sharing of the wealth and become profitable and creating jobs for more than just the same few people that they like to employ, that messes it up for everyone. So the situation in Atlanta, I agree with him in terms of there's a lot of cleaning up to do, and I just do not believe that the state should be assisting in terms of taking that over to get that cleanup done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question. What legislation would you introduce to protect the people from predatory lending and gentrification in our community? Ms. Potts.
Predatory lending and gentrification. Predatory lending is kind of an oxymoron term. I think the best way to protect people from predatory lending is first for people to be realistic with themselves on what they can afford. And then for financial education will protect you from predatory lending, because predatory lending is for the most disenfranchised. And I think that we're talking about credit when we're talking about predatory lending. And I think credit education and financial education is the best way to resolve an issue with predatory lending. Now, the second part of your question, what was that part again?
The second, gentrification.
Gentrification. I don't necessarily like that word. I think that it is kind of a danger word in a certain sense, because what it implies is that we don't want a certain race moving back into the neighborhood. I don't think that gentrification is as much as an issue as some people do. I think that the issue is affordable housing, and I think fair and proper taxation. I don't have a problem with diverse neighborhoods, so gentrification is not a buzzword that I like to get into.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Would you be willing to introduce and or support legislation that states when a felon is about to be released, they will automatically be given all required paperwork that will help them merge back into society? Ms. Halpern.
Yes, I would. And I would, because I believe once you've paid your debt to society, you should be able to re-enter society and be able to do things like vote, as one example. And I think that the work that is happening every day in terms of trying to kind of strike down people's ability to vote, even just using that as one example. This is an area with felons where, they're really doing that. If we are incarcerated at higher rates than other groups, and then we are not allowed to have our full voting rights restored once we're released, then you are able to discount greatly a number of people who then don't have a voice and a vote. And so that voting is just one piece of it, but I would very much be in favor of legislation that allows felons to re-enter their communities with rights restored.
Thank you so much. Next question. Specifically, how would you work alongside of the state school superintendent to get the curriculum changed to include a more skilled life skills training, such as carpentry, brick masons, finance, et cetera, back into the school system? Mr. Port.
Yes, ma'am. Great question. One thing that I have seen for myself with my own two eyes is the benefit and the efficacy of union-led apprenticeship programs. It would be my position that any sort of job training that we're talking about in high school or technical schools or what have you should be partnered with apprenticeship programs and leaderships with our local. Seen it myself, specifically with the iron workers here in Atlanta. Their apprenticeship program is unmatched. They do training like nobody else. These guys are consummate professionals. Many of them have been in the industry, their respective industries, for years and years and years. So if we really want to have viable and worthwhile apprenticeship training, whether it be from carpentry or welding or what have you, we really need to partner with the unions who do the work and do the work better than anybody else in this state, and allow them to inform us so we can move forward with programs that are not just there to get us the kudos from the people. We need programs that actually work. These people know how to do the work, and we need to help work with them so they can put our kids to work and, you know, have fruitful careers for years. That's how we, you know, break these generational curses and, you know, help these kids, because everybody can't go to college, which is perfectly fine. But if you're not going to go to college, I want to make sure these kids graduate with some sort of useful skill. And I think partnering with the unions would achieve that for us.
Thank you very much. Next question. Are you in favor of local schools versus charter schools, and why? Ms. Pritchett.
I am actually in favor of a fully funded public school education. I really think that we have to make sure, in order for us to have strong neighborhoods, strong communities, and opportunities, we have to invest in our children. I myself grew up in New York, and I went to Catholic school all my life. My parents invested in my education, and I believe that I saw the difference from the education that I received from other children. So even though I did not go to public school, when I moved to Georgia, my children went to public school. And a lot of the challenges that children face in public school is we have to change our mentality as far as just thinking that government solves everything. And there are a lot of teachers that come out of pocket with supplies. I think that there should be some type of pantry for educators to allow them to have these type of supplies, things that our children need, state-of-the-art equipment. But some of that comes from the parents. When you have parents that are invested in making sure their kids have the proper equipment, the proper tutoring, you know, just creating an atmosphere that's conducive for children, I think that's how our children succeed. I don't have necessarily a problem with charter schools, but charter schools do not answer the problem, you know, for all children, because charter schools are smaller settings and all children cannot go to charter schools. But in Fulton County particularly, most people don't realize that we are in a charter school system.
Thank you very much. Next question. This is a very historic district steeped with activism from Julian Bond to Vincent Ford and others like Nikema Williams. How will you uphold the fighting spirit of the district? Ms. Potts.
With regard to upholding the fighting spirit of the district, I think that the biggest things that I could do right now is to look for transparency for the people with regard to the issues that are pressing right now, healthcare and education. One of the things that I would like to fight for, and I hope that you would come to me with that question, but if not, I'll just put it in right now, is the bill that I would like to put forward that will benefit everyone across the district would be a little red schoolhouse bill. I think that with what's happening with COVID and the safety concerns that needs to be had in school and with teachers right now are not going away anytime soon. I think that we need to make some common sense changes and plans that could be put in place for the next 3 to 5 years. With regard to a little red schoolhouse bill, I would like to see our state's public school systems create a system where teachers and students could come together in small spaces of 10 to 15 children inside of the community. Something based off of, with regard to the facilities, some of the guidelines that we have in place for home health daycare. But children are suffering right now with regard to the virtual education. Just learning is not all that children need to develop into well people. Our educators, our workforce of teachers is a precious resource to Georgia, and we cannot afford to send them into death traps while we don't know what's going on with the COVID. So I think the biggest thing that I can fight for is safe schools right now, and introduce something and try to get consensus along with other legislatures to bring school into smaller settings so children can continue to strive and know one another.
Thank you very much. Next question. What is your position on Fulton Industrial? Ms. Halpern.
So Fulton Industrial, I think, is a great opportunity to really invest in the community there and really build up business. I think of Fulton Industrial and I think of Old National both as areas where we can really create economic opportunity, small business zones, and really introduce opportunities for particularly minority-owned businesses. I'll just say I have a sweet spot around entrepreneurship generally, and investments in entrepreneurship, and allowing it to then create zones that can flourish and opportunities. Entrepreneurship to me is a great pathway. Small businesses are the engine, the economic engine of America. As much as we talk about big, huge corporations, it's small businesses that employ more people than anything. And so I look at a Fulton Industrial, and I look at an Old National also, and I see lots of opportunities if we can create ways to invest in entrepreneurship and allow for people who have a dream to become business owners be able to do so, and create the pathways for them to be able to get there.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question. Legislation is passed across the aisles, and it's not just based on what you'd like to see happen. What experience do you have in working collaboratively, working in the community that had a positive impact on the community? And that would be to Linda Pritchett.
I've been around a lot of legislation. There have been a lot of bills that were not the greatest of bills. And what I felt my responsibility was to my community and the district is to make sure that people understand the legislation that's coming down. We had a few bits of legislation in the city of South Fulton where before it was even passed, I sent out in my newsletter that has over 2,000 subscribers, I explained those bills in detail. And I went to the city council meeting in the city of South Fulton, and I explained how I was opposed to the bill, why. So I think that we have to do a better job of communicating with the constituents, with the residents, because a lot of times they're in the dark. A lot of the issues seem like they're complex, and they need somebody to break it down in simple terms that they can understand, and especially understanding how it affects them. I remember a few years back when we had Amendment 1 on the ballot, the charter school bill, and myself and even Senator Vincent Ford, I held a town hall meeting and he attended along with Linda Bryant, the chair of the school board in Fulton County. And we talked to people that were for charter school, against charter school, but through that effort and continuing to have those meetings, we were able to educate people and we defeated that bill. So it's just, I will continue to always educate voters and always stay involved in the communities and make sure that people understand what's happening in real time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question. What is your position on Fulton Industrial? Zan Ford.
All right, so I'm unmuted. Awesome. Excuse me. Trying to make sure my phone doesn't die on me. All right, cool. So, like Ms. Halpern said, Fulton Industrial definitely represents a opportunity, big time opportunity. Right now, we all know what sort of businesses are up and down that street, but nevertheless, it's a major thoroughfare. My position on Fulton Industrial is to make sure that we have programs that are going to support business development there, but in particular minority business. So any program that I set forth, whether it be, or I have a chance to speak on, whether it be a business development plan or law or legislation concerning the assignment of contracts, will have a minority business component to it, so that people, Black, Brown, women, and so on and so forth, all the way down the line, have an opportunity to participate and participate fully in the securing of those contracts and the economic development that will result as beyond that. And just like many other development opportunities and business opportunities, not only do we need a minority business program component, but we also need an enforcement component. A lot of these minority business programs are there at least in spirit, but they lack the follow through, the ability for somebody to actually say, hey, this is what needs to happen, you're not doing it. So you know, some X, Y, and Z is now going to happen. We need to make sure we strengthen the enforcement portion of that as well, so that not only do we put out the opportunities, but we ensure that those opportunities are going to the correct people, particularly on South Fulton. I mean, excuse me, Fulton Industrial. Did I say South Fulton?
That is South.
Yeah, but that's fine.
I'm all over the place. I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question.
Yes, ma'am.
Legislation is passed by working on across the aisles, not just on what you'd like to see happen, but based on your experience and what you've done in the past, working collaboratively in the community. That's been a positive change. Can you share your views on that? And that would be Ms. Halpern.
Yes. So I am part of the leadership of the YMCA of Metro Atlanta. And I'm very, very proud of it because I'm proud of the work that that not-for-profit does across the metro area for the last 161 years. But to the question you just asked, we just recently built our big Leadership and Learning Center off of MLK. And when we purchased that land, there were folks in that community who really were against the idea of us tearing down a piece of the structure from Morris Brown College. And they really wanted us to keep it there. And I will tell you that we as an organization talked with those leaders in that community. Ultimately, you know, if you buy the land, you are able to do what you want with the buildings. And we had talked with architects and the structure was unstable. But ultimately, because we heard their concerns, we were able to actually save like a little corner of the building. We redrew our architectural plans. It added and increased the cost of that project by millions of dollars, and we made the decision to do it anyway, and it was the right decision. And it was working with people in that community who wanted us to do something that we did not have to do. And ultimately, it's beautiful. I think it improved the overall plan, but it was not something that we were going to do. And so it is through sitting and listening and responding and then figuring out what could work that we were able to come to that. And we've now got this beautiful outdoor space that's being used for our early childhood learners and the community. And it's worked out well for everybody. And I think that, you know, we were able to come into that neighborhood as new folks in that community and show that we wanted to do good and do well for the community. So I'm very proud of that.
Thank you very much. Next question. What is your position on Fulton Industrial, Ms. Potts?
I think that Fulton Industrial could be what underground was when I was a little girl and was always supposed to be again, but we've never quite made it. I think that we could take what we have going on with Fulton Industrial right now that kind of has its a bit of a reputation, and we could spin that into a structured nightlife and tourist attraction. I think that Fulton Industrial should be the South Side's premier tourist nightlife strip. It should be villagey with a college town feel. I would love to see the expansion of South Fulton and a downtown village strip there. And just Fulton Industrial, I think, should capture everything that underground always flirts with, but can never really get placed downtown. I think Fulton Industrial will be the excellent catching point for some of those attractions.
Thank you very much. Next question. Legislation is passed by working across the aisles and not based on what you've seen happen, but what experience you have in working collaboratively throughout the community. And what positive impact have you made on the community, Mr. Ford?
Yes, ma'am. All right. So specifically positive impact that I have made on my community in particular. For a time, I was employed by the City of Atlanta with the Department of Watershed Management. My title with them was Community Outreach Specialist. And as a Community Outreach Specialist, one thing that I did was coordinate with environmental organizations, in particular, Chattahoochee Riverkeeper and South Face, amongst some other smaller ones as well, to work in the community, to find ways to, one, increase knowledge and awareness about different conservation related issues, whether it be fast oils and grease and keeping them out of the sewer system, creek cleanups, so on and so forth, as well as coordinating other events with City of Atlanta facilities, specifically the water reclamation facilities in the city. Having said that, that's probably one of the ones that I feel like I had one of the most direct impacts by beautifying spaces, educating not only neighborhood groups but children as well, working with rec centers in the city of Atlanta. That's probably some of the most fulfilling work that I've been able to do. And as far as working across the aisle, I will definitely want to. That is definitely something that we have to do. But I also want to caution people. This is not the Republicans, the conservatives of old. They're not nearly as reasonable as those that we've seen in the past, in decades past. So it is paramount to fight and draw lines in the sand and hold the things that they hold dear hostage, so that we can get what we want done. Reaching across the aisle is great. But in practice, what it results in is a compromise on our side, the left, whereas not so much on the other.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question. Will you continue the legislation proposed by Senator Williams and other Georgia senators regarding the donut hole for seniors? Linda Pritchett.
I am also not familiar with donut hole legislation for seniors, but I can say that having been a caregiver or basically responsible for my parents, who both passed away in 2018, a month apart from each other, I took them to all of their doctor visits, and they actually lived in Christian City, which was an excellent facility. However, I'd like to see seniors have access to health care, affordable health care, that is close to them. I know at the Bowden Center, one of my mother's physicians was at the Bowden Center, and a lot of seniors, go there for different activities. But I'd like to see more medical services provided for seniors in the centers they live. And particularly my mother, who died from Alzheimer's, there are not a lot of senior facilities that do memory care services. And I think that memory care, people that have dementia or have Alzheimer's, that's something that is a lot more prevalent than we realize. And we need more specialized care to assist people with that. And also my father, who had to watch my mother deteriorate that way, I think that he probably needed a lot more emotional support, and he could have used a lot more, therapeutic services or, social services that would have helped him to deal with that issue. So I'm very, very compassionate to senior issues, because they're once a child, and I forget how the saying goes, but they became my children, and you want to make sure that your parents are always well taken care of. And all seniors are somebody's parents. Thank you for that question.
All right. Thank you. Next question. Are you in favor of local schools versus charter schools? Ms. Potts.
I think that the federal and state dollars allocated per child for education should stay with the child in the child's neighborhood. That's my answer.
Okay. Great. So I'm going to circle back on this other question. Will you continue legislation proposed by Senator Williams and other Georgia senators regarding the donut hole for seniors? Mr. Ford.
Yes, ma'am. So as I understand it, the donut hole that we're speaking of refers to a gap in coverage for healthcare, Medicare. Specifically, one thing that I am aware of is a gap that may exist when seniors are filling prescriptions in particular. I think it's a negative situation, obviously. Anytime that a senior has potentially life-saving or, literally life-saving medication that they're on, there is no way, shape, form, or fashion that they should encounter any sort of impediment to getting that. So as far as, supporting efforts to close the quote unquote donut hole, I'm all for it. Like some of the other folks, I do want to do more research specifically on the legislation that State Senator Williams introduced or is backing. But I am all for closing that gap, and will work to do so once elected.
Thank you very much. Next question. What is in your plan to represent all of District 39, not just the South Side? Ms. Halpern.
So I think that, I should say, I've lived on both sides of the district. I've lived in Georgia for 22 years and I've lived in this Senate district the whole time. I spent most of my time on the south side of the district, and I now live on the north side of the district. And what I know is that things like education impact both sides of the district. We've talked about the differences in school a little bit, but the buffer on many of these northern side schools is that the parents are actually able to throw in money, create PTAs to be able to resource for things for that school that the school wouldn't ordinarily have. And it shouldn't be that way either. So I think education is a piece. I actually even to restore the original promise of the Hope Scholarship. That's something too that would impact everybody. There's public safety issues all throughout the district that can be addressed in terms of, again, making sure that, once once a police officer is released from one jurisdiction, they're not allowed to move to the next. That's something that can impact everybody throughout the district. But mostly I think it's opportunity. We tend to think of the northern side of the district as having more opportunity, and I think that that's true, but that does not mean that everything goes as it should on the north side either. And people do still have dreams for their children throughout the district, and I think every parent should be able to believe that their children are going to be able to do better than them. And so for me, it's that focus on access and opportunity. And in terms of issues, I would call out public safety and I would call out education as two issues that impact the entire district. But it is making sure that, the least of these are taken care of and all ships rise with the tide.
Fine. Okay, I have a question here from the chat. And I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to ask this question to all of you. But it says, based on the information that is in the public on the candidates, why should District 39 residents trust you enough to vote for you? And so I'm going to begin with Ms. Potts.
I think District 39 needs to survey all of the candidates. They need to survey all of our ideas, and they should vote their own minds. I've been in business for over 30 years. I've got the same friends that I've had all of my life. Every boss that I've ever worked for would hire me again. I feel that I'm completely trustworthy. And I know that District 39 can trust me with the job that needs to be done.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to ask that question, Mr. Ford, please.
I think the biggest reason that residents of this district should be able to trust me to fulfill my duties as state senator is simply because of the way I learned my politics in the state of Georgia. I have been fortunate enough to be tutored by one of the best, in my opinion, political minds that this district has seen. And this state has seen, specifically when it comes towards activism and working towards the working families of this state. And of course, obviously, I'm speaking of my father's former state senator, Vincent Ford. I was there learning and taking notes when he had his large predatory lending fight. I was there when he got the got money in the budget for Atlanta Technical. I believe it was $45 million. And I was there when he negotiated the minority business contract so that, you know, minority businesses in this state can have access to about $900 million. Now, I say all that to say the same tactics and nuances to political maneuvering that he enacted to get those things done are the same thing that I've seen and learned from and have taken notes on over the past 20 plus years. And you know, that's one of the main reasons I would say you could trust me. And beyond that, I'm a fighter. I'm not, anything on my agenda is not for large corporations. It's for the people, working families, which is why, like I said, GFT and so many unions have taken upon themselves to endorse me at this early date, or late date, I guess. You know, because I'm all about working people, not about money interests, and that's how I've been. That's how I will continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question. The question is based on the information that's in the public on two of the candidates. Why should District 39 residents trust you enough to vote for you? Ms. Halpern.
I have a long record of leadership in business and politics and community service. I am known as a creative problem solver. ESPN, way back when they were moving into a new business unit, the internet, they brought me as the only ad salesperson over from the cable team to the internet team because they knew that I would be able to think creatively and help them build their online advertising program. When I got to Georgia, I eventually worked for Cox Newspapers. When Cox Newspapers was looking for somebody to train 500 of their salespeople in their 4 largest papers, they tapped me because they knew that I would be able to work with the different sales teams, with the different kinds of people across the sales teams, and move everybody in the same direction. Because I can build teams and I can create coalitions towards an end goal. When the National Black Arts Festival was about to celebrate its 25th anniversary and was going to crumble because we had a revolving door of leadership and we had $500,000 in debt, the board unanimously selected me to chair the board, and I immediately became the acting executive director. This is all volunteer, and got to work. And in the first year, I was able to reduce our debt by 90%, coalesce the board around a new strategic vision for the organization. And I'm widely credited with serving that institution, which is the oldest one of its kind in the country, serving and promoting artists of art and artists of African descent. I am a strategic thinker and able to take the tactical steps necessary to get to the end vision and goal. And I've done it everywhere I've gone, and I've earned a strong reputation for being somebody who rolls up her sleeves, gets to work, and gets the job done. Most of the time, I'm doing that behind the scenes. I don't necessarily need the stage or microphone or a clap, but I believe in getting the work done, and I believe in impact. And it's that same passion that I have taken everywhere I've gone, paid or volunteer, for the last 20 plus years.
Time.
Okay.
Thank
That
you.
I take to the
Thank you
Capitol.
very much. Next question. And actually, it's the same question. Linda Pritchett.
Thank you for the question. In 2017, when I ran for state senator, over 11,000 people cast their votes for me. Just in June, about 9,000 people cast their votes for me, for state senator. Those were votes that I earned because I was in the communities and I was talking to people and connecting with people and their issues. I've had many elected officials, many community leaders, even people in the clergy that come to me because they can trust, number one, that I will work hard to find a solution to their problems, and that I will stay involved, not just direct them to someone else, but I will stay involved and make sure that those solutions are carried out. I have been a certified paralegal for over 15 years. And what that means is that I am a problem solver for attorneys and for people. So I have always had the trust of people in my community, because they know that I am committed and I am dedicated to doing things that are helpful and meaningful to them. And I've always been able to be effective in that area. And also, as a state senator, there is a measure of confidentiality that you have to have when you are negotiating, when you are trying to work with both sides. Many state legislators and elected officials have shared things with me in confidence that they know they will not hear anywhere else. And that is extremely important when you're dealing with financial matters, confidential matters, proprietary issues, insecurity issues. So I've never had a question of people being able to trust me, as I've run for office.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then I have one more question for you, Ms. Pritchett. What is your position on Fulton Industrial?
I am so glad you finally asked me that question, because I don't think that it has been properly answered. Fulton Industrial, first of all, is not in the city of South Fulton. We have been trying to annex Fulton Industrial into the city of South Fulton because it's currently in like a 7-mile stretch, 3 or 7 mile stretch of unincorporated Fulton County. And so we felt that it should be a contiguous part of the city of South Fulton. Now, the problem is, basically dealing with the interests of, should it go in Atlanta? Should it go in South Fulton? What do the property owners want? What do the business owners want? And to my understanding, there are a large number of business owners that are ready to annex, to do a landowner annex into the city. And this is something that has to be worked out between the mayor, the council, and these businesses. But I really believe that Fulton Industrial belongs in the city of South Fulton because it was the last unincorporated area. And I believe that South Fulton is prepared to be able to provide the municipal services that area actually needs. So that's how I feel about Fulton Industrial. The tax base, I believe, should go with the city of South Fulton because as an unincorporated area that we have that has paid taxes into a general fund, I don't think that it's appropriate at this time for it just to go to Atlanta.
Thank you very much. So there you have it. We've heard from all the candidates, and now I would like to give each of the candidates, we're nearing the top of the hour, I'm going to give them 2 minutes for their closing statements, and I want them to share with you why they should get your vote, and then also how they can get in, how you can get in contact with them if you want to volunteer, contribute, or what have you. I'd like to start with Joanna Potts, please.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate this forum. I think it's been very spirited, good questions asked. I appreciate it. I am running for District 39 Senator because I think that we need a native voice in this district. I think that we need somebody that knows the corners and the blocks and the people. This particular session, the 2021 session, is one of the most important ones that comes up every decade. Based on the results of the census, we're going to be redistricting and redrawing the lines for the state Senate, the state representatives, and the United States Congress. The budget is always a big concern every year, but this year, based on the reductions that we've had in the economy from COVID, the 70% that's usually there and available, what that number, that 70% of the 48 billion is going to be a good deal less this year. I want to be on guard for the cuts that are made. I want to be on guard and there to communicate to the people that I know in District 39 and be transparent about what's going on with healthcare, education, public safety. I know these people. I know this district. I'm a voice that you can trust. You know where to find me. Everybody knows me and my family. Please vote for me, Joanna Potts, for State Senate, District 39. You can reach me at www.joannapotts.com. You can also always call me anytime on my phone number, the same one I had for 15 years, not running from anybody. My number is area code 404-234-2109. Please, if you give me a vote, I promise you I'll do you a good job under the gold dome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zan Ford.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So again, my name is Zan Ford, running for the State Senate, District 39. This district is very near and dear to my heart. I spent much of my childhood here by virtue of my family connections here. And there's nothing more that I would like than to serve admirably and faithfully the residents of this district. Just to reiterate the things that are important to me and what I'm pushing. Increasing that minimum wage to $15 an hour, expanding Medicaid so 300,000 more Georgians have insurance, enacting police reform so we get rid of bad cops instead of just shifting them around, and also introducing the comprehensive civil rights law. These are all things that everybody in this district and this state will benefit from. And I appreciate everybody taking the time to log in or sign in and view this debate, this forum. And I appreciate the host for allowing me to come on and speak my piece. I'm a fighter through and through. It's quite literally in my DNA. I know no other way to be other than the fierce, forward-leaning advocate for my people that I am. And once elected, that's exactly what you're gonna get, nothing less, and hopefully a lot more. If you want to reach out to me, you surely can. My phone number as well, 770-243-3776, 770-243-3776. I encourage you to call with questions or concerns. If you don't think I'm speaking about something that's important to you, by all means, call me, educate me. I am always available. Up until 9 o'clock, you call me after 9 o'clock, you might not get me, but before then, I'll be more than happy to answer, provided I'm not on a Zoom call, meeting, or so on and so forth. And I always call back. You can reach me across all social media platforms as well. Vote for Fort, VOTE, the number 4, FORT, Twitter, IG, and Facebook. Please go to my website as well, www.zan, last name Fort, FORT.com, www.zanfort.com. You can donate, volunteer, or find other ways to get involved and hear more about my platform and what I believe in there. I appreciate the time again, and you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Linda Pritchett, closing statement.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to answer your questions and share my views with you today. I'd also like to mention that I am a member of the organization that's hosting this event. I'm also the secretary of the Latino Caucus of the Democratic Party of Georgia. I am a member of the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys and the Georgia Trial Lawyers Association, to name a few. I also have the endorsement of a current sitting legislators, State Senator Donzella James, and also State Representative Sandra Scott. I have the experience of working in government, and I've gone through the entire district, listening to the concerns of citizens. And I've done this for over a decade. I did not decide at the last minute to run for this seat. I've been consistent and involved, and I feel that I have been effective. I believe that I have made a positive contribution to this district. So I would like to welcome you to visiting my website, which is voteforlinda.com. Please sign up for my community newsletter that I send out every week with valuable community information, legislative updates, and voter information. And I will also give you my phone number, 678-561-2263. And I thank you again for joining us today. And again, my name is Linda Pritchett. I'd like to ask you for your vote as soon as tomorrow. Early voting starts tomorrow, October 12th. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you here with you today.
Thank you. And Sonia Halpern.
Yes, thank you again. I have enjoyed participating in this forum, and I'm running to be the next state senator for the district because I'm ready to be the fierce advocate for the equity and the opportunity that all of the constituents of this district deserve. We are faced with a crumbling social service net. We are faced with lack of opportunities for too many people. And it is truly time for that to change. It is time for people to be able to live up to their full potential and for the state to be able to make the investments in the areas in which it helps to make that possible. I am excited to have the endorsement and support of a number of different organizations, Georgia Win List, Emily's List, Georgia Equality, and the Georgia Federation of Public Service Employees, along with a very long list of elected officials who believe in my leadership, who believe in my abilities. I am an experienced leader. I am a community advocate. I am a working mom, and I have seen firsthand the challenges that this district faces every day, and I know what it takes to move us forward. And so I am ready to tackle these issues head on as your next state senator. So I humbly ask for your vote. I would love to have it and your support. To reach me, you can find me at website www.sonya, SONYA, the number 4, GA.com. Please follow me on social media at Sonya4GA. The number 4 again, and telephone number 678-235-5220. I know what it takes to move us forward. I will use the skills that I have built over the last 2 decades every day to fight for a brighter future for the people of the 39th district, and really not just the people of the 39th, but really for all of Georgia. I want to do right and do well by this state that we love and call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So there you have it. Thank you to everyone for joining us this afternoon. We hope the information shared will help you make an informed decision on who you will cast your ballot for in the upcoming election on Tuesday, November 3rd. Early voting starts tomorrow and runs from through October 30th. We have early voting. Those hours are from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then we have Saturday voting and Sunday voting. And take advantage of those if indeed you have the opportunity. The Saturday voting dates are October 17th and October 24th. Those hours are from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday voting, October 18th through the 25th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. But let me leave you with this more so than anything. Be an informed voter and know before you go. Know who is on your ballot. Know what is on your ballot. Know when to vote. And know where to vote. But more so than anything, go vote. Your life depends on it. I thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Yolanda Ogletree, and she's going to close us out. Dr. Ogletree. Well, I will tell you.
Okay, Kathy.
Gloria Jenkins.
Yes, this has been a very, very invigorating forum. Some heavy questions. I'm glad I'm not running and have to answer some of those questions, but I do have a homework assignment for each of you. You need to find out what that donut hole is, because as you get older, you will be affected by it. Let me say thank you so very much for participating in this event. And before I finish, I want to pause. I don't think Ms. Potts had a chance to give her closing statement. Did you, Ms. Potts?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
I saw your hand up.
Because
Okay.
there was one thing I wanted to say, if you wouldn't mind, and it's just for the benefit of us all. in this special election, District 39, in order to vote, when you go and vote in person, you got to request a special election ballot. So that's just to the benefit of all of us and all of us who just want our voice heard in this vote.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And as has been said already, early voting starts tomorrow, and we want to treat tomorrow like it is November the 3rd. We don't want to wait till November 3rd to put our ballots in. If you have an absentee ballot, be sure you circle in, cover in that entire circle. I'm told that the machine does not recognize partial circles. It does not recognize the letter X or the check mark. Only circles or ovals that are completely bubbled in. Thank you again. It's been enjoyable. And we look forward to the next event.
Absolutely.
Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.